This video is a retribution of those cyborg, apathic people who doesn't have any empathy toward the suffering of others. Those people who think that there's no victim, only call prayer, which was something created by the dominating the controllers of those metrics, something created to imbued to brainwashing their minions here into thinking that there's no such thing as suffering, when the reality is just another thing. And before these idiots come back, they call this idiot who says that there's no victim in the world, just call prayer, come say that I'm negative. I tell you, you are being negative because you can gossip about people, but you cannot tell the truth about yourself, about how selfish you are to deny that there is suffering and victim in this world. I am negative, be negative, for pointing out your faults in your narcissistic, violent, tyrant way. That's how you call me, that's why you call me a negative kind of person. There's a difference between being negative. Negative is to inflict pain on open other, be it a human, a plant, and especially so in defenseless animal and a child. Okay, so what I can get here is people who got the mind totally guilty of have done something to others. They don't want to accept the blame. You see, they see themselves as a victim because, like a devil, they kind of twist the role. They want the narcissist and the violent. They try to become the victim. They want to switch role and project their faults and their karma open the victim. But it doesn't mean that there's no victim. Retarded like this one, you see, who painted the world like people like this one, and the idiot who follows me here online, who always gets help from me in a way, because I don't like to play a victim. I like to be a co-prayer. When you are co-prayer, you're not going to stand by and be abused and bullied. You're going to fight back. And that's how I like to do. Okay? So, idiots like that who think that they're not, of course they're not a victim. If you have no reason to be a victim, then you are not a victim. However, there is such people, there's such thing like being a victim, there's such people as a victim, there's such animal as a victim. You see, only because you are not a victim, it doesn't mean that there's no victim out there. You see, so there's many selfish human out there who speaks for themselves. When you say there is no victim, you actually speak for yourself. You do not speak for others, because there are victims of injustice in this world, of sexual assault, of rapes, even within the house, the confinement of four walls, and the sacred space of within the walls of a home. There are only when I am the perpetrator, the tyrant, the violent, I will not acknowledge that there's no such thing as a victim. Are those beautiful, wonderful, I cannot find word to describe it. Those wonderful beings, those wonderful creatures. Is not this a victim? Is them not being a victim of abuse from this vile, reptilian-minded humans or the dragons minions on earth? Are they not? And I tell you, yes, they are. They are victims of the evil human people, beasts, not say beasts, demons who has the body of a human. Yeah, they are victims. And you dare to say, you Arab man or whoever from Russia, you are there to say that there is no victim in the world only because you are living in your comfort zone? Is this not a victim? Is that not a victim to you? If you say there's no victim, then you have a problem, dude. You do have a problem. A problem with honesty, a problem with kindness, a problem with being a nice kind of a person, being a true divine being. You are not being divine when you deny that there's no victim in the world, because there are victims in the world, and the animals, nature, they are victims. They are victims of the controllers who control the matrix. When the source, when it creates, the source is not male, neither it's a female. It's neutral. It doesn't have a phallus, neither does it have a female genitalia. Okay, it is neutral. It's just a source, a quantic subatomic mega particle for the all. When it created everything, it did not simplify that some beasts, some evil demons have to take control of the matrix and created worlds like this to actually nourish themselves through the sufferings of another. And be it fauna, which is the flora, fauna, which is the animals, and the flora, which is the plants, the world of plants, and the fauna, which fauna and flora. Okay, it didn't say that it has to be this way. It could be better than this hidden. Why not? I am being negative to say that we deserve better, that the animals deserve better. Surely not. If you are a good person and not a beast, then I'm not being negative. Only because I pointed out your faults as being a monster that is inside a human body, or whatever, your masters, your gods, whatever. Only because I'm pointing out your mistakes, your faults, it does not mean that I'm being negative. Much for the contrary, I'm trying to make things better for the world. I am perfectionist, and I see nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong in being perfectionist. I'd rather being perfectionist than being a devil, evil. Okay, and so this is not a victim. This is not a victim, huh? For you Arab men and whatever, and the Russians, whatever you are, that you are saying here on YouTube with your videos and in the commentary that there's no victim. Oh, there's no victim. The child, let's go now to the child. Where's the child? child abuse. Here's the elderly abuse. Elderly abuse. They are not a victim, is it? They are just a perpetrator. Oh, no, they are the violent. Sure, men like this can defend themselves, but not, say, a very, very old person. Those still can defend themselves, but not when they are very old. You see, when they are very old and crippled and disabled, they cannot help themselves. And there is where people like me step in to do something and try to stop the evil doers in this world. And then we are chastised, we are condemned, we are demonized for trying to make the world a better place to be, a better place to stay. Okay? So this is not a victim? This is not a victim for you? Huh? You who say that there's no victim, only because you don't want to be called into account that maybe you have done something to other people. You are a bully, you are a coward, because a bully is usually a coward. You see, bull, abuse, and a cowardice goes hand in hand. It is interchangeable, it's synonymous. A person who is a bully, he is usually a coward. Okay? So, the disease that they have created here, it is not a victim. People who get sick, children getting sick, is not a victim. Huh? This is not a victim, mister. I think that you want so much, your mind, your brain, your conscience is so guilty that you deny what's so. You see? I know that I'm sensitive, so what? You may say, yeah, she's being sensitive. Yeah, I'd rather be sensitive, a sensitive person, than be a cyborg, an android, a cold reptilian kind of a person. This is something which I cannot be like your all, okay? So, the feminine, although this happens everywhere, it's not all about, it's not limited to Africa alone, to the continent of Africa. It happens nearly everywhere, the Asian continent, East Europe, Americas. You see, it's not just about Africa, although Africa, it is one of the most poorest nations and continent in the world, and they are not a victim. They are not a victim. You don't see a victim here. You see a corpora. You see people. You all have allowed your religions and your masses brainwash your mind into thinking that there's no victimization, no victim in the world. When you see people like this, you say, them with them. I cannot bother to even have pity and empathy towards these people, because I live in my comfort zone. Never mind if it is a poor house in the countryside, but I'm okay. I'm at peace with myself. I'm in my cocoon. I'm in my comfort zone. So what? To hell with others. It's not that the kind of mentality that you all have in your project. So everything has to be subjective, you see. We need to be subjective and not a fake kind of person, a hypocrite, or even a villain who wants to cover up for their own wrongdoings. So they feel somewhat guilty, and they warn the hood when we pointed out all these injustices and these sufferings in this quadrant of the world, is the um, 3D dimensional density words with the three-dimensional matrix. Okay, and I hope that it will somewhat change all the things. So this is not a victim for the perpetrator, for the narcissistic, violent, coward homo. No, they are not the hominid, the cyborg. No, they are not. They are not the victim. They are the perpetrator, because we are living in the time of the Kalimata, this time of the devil worshipping era, age. Revisited, I would say. There's nothing new about it. It has been like this in the past as well. There's nothing new. It's just been revisited, and we are living this kind of age where the victim turns the perpetrator, and the violent, the tyrant, the abuser, the coward, the bully gets a medal for better performance when they inflict the most harm to other beings, and then they get a trophy in return, because they are giving, when they inflict harm to any form of living beings, they are giving food to their masters and their gods. Okay, so this is what is happening. So this is not victim, victim of a word of discrepancy, a word of inequality, where some have and some have not. This is not a victim, is it? For you, is not a victim. I don't see you as a human being in a way. I see you like a cyborg. I see you like an android. Your has become a machine when you refuse to acknowledge what is so. You see? So they are not a victim. They are just playing victim, like you also would say, don't you? Because it's not you, I tell you, it's not you all. When you put yourselves in the shoe of those people, then you will know what suffering is, and you will learn. You will learn how to be more self-conscious, and you will help how to be more human rather than more beast, more devilish, more cyborg, more apathic, more selfish. Okay? They are victim, alright? And don't bring this nonsense of that maybe those people do another thing, a bad thing in another world, in another time, another life. I don't even know whether reincarnation really exists. And if it does, then it is a very injustice way to solve the errors, the mistakes that we do in this lifetime. An error and a mistake done in this lifetime has to be addressed here, now, and not be made like a accolade and then bring back and then project to another life. That's nonsense. That's nonsense. Only needed will have created such kind of hierarchy. You see, it doesn't have to be this way. You do a wrong thing now, you have to pay now for it. You abuse, you need to be punished for it. Cannot be left this way, because the victim, usually children, animals, the defenseless elderly, the crippled, they do suffer. and you don't care because you're a psychopath. You know, you are a psychopath. You are used to sufferings, to inflict, not to get, but to inflict sufferings, because you feed from it, and you are a sadist. And whoever supports all this is a sadist. Yes, you are a sadist. Be you, whoever you are. And then I do not care whether you are telling me that I am being oversensitive. I rather be sensitive. Let me. I like to be this way because I earn something from it, and then the pleasure I derive from it is that I want perfectionism, and I want a better world. I want a better world for the children, the animals, the fauna and flora, and everybody else. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with your mentality that you want to see sadism, you want to see sufferings, you want to see all this. You actually you enjoy seeing all this. You know, that's for you is food, because you are not a real human being. You are a beast. Yeah, you are a beast. And so, before you say there is no victim, if you decide not to be a cyborg and an android, think before you create your next version of thinking. Okay? Because there is such a thing as a victim. They are only cyborg like this one, psychopaths. They do not want to acknowledge it, but they are. Okay, they are such a thing as psychopaths, reptilian psychopath, violence in human body. Here, as I speak right now, and are the victims. Even if they say there is no such thing, because as I'm been saying over and over and over, for you to listen, for you to put in your mind, for you to try and create in your supra level consciousness, and not just unconscious level, to create, to think with your supra level consciousness rather than your unconscious level of being. You see, so no point for you to talk about. Nobody want to talk about what's gonna happen when we die, blah blah blah. This is another level of being. See, when we die is another thing, another story, has nothing to do with our life in this body. Right now in this video we are talking about our life in this body. Experiment the matrix in this body, and no, it doesn't have to be through sufferings. For only what they call that person who likes to suffer masochist person, a masochist. Only masochists love to suffer. You see, this person derive pleasure from suffering, but not everybody is like this. Not everybody likes to suffer. You see, and if you say that you want a better world, then you have to show it by not deny the suffering of the other people in this world, and this include the animals and the wild lives. This include victims of diseases. This include people who are sick, who are crippled in a wheelchair. And then when we pointed it out, there come the psychopaths. They will tell me, but why Steve Jobs, How that name, Steve Hawks, the person who died recently and who was confined to a wheelchair. And then the psychopath will ask me why that guy hoax did not thought so, because that guy was a genius. He's different, he's a scientist, and he don't see he was creating through his supra level of consciousness. See, you do not understand. I also got a problem that many people don't want to have, but I see it through a supra conscious level. I'm not gonna be trying to be a victim or be a victim or think of myself as a victim. I see myself as a culprit because I don't want to be a victim, because I'm not a masochist. Being a victim is being a masochist, and that's what I don't want to be, you see. However, the other people are not quite a masochist. They are just kind of they are becoming the cause of events instead of just withdraw from it. They become the cause of it, and then they will suffer because they are not still on the level, supraconscious level of mentality and of thinking. So the same things applies to a person who is a scientist, who is still working and creates with his brain, because the mind is the tool from which we create. Okay, so was Steve Jobs bullied? Was he psychologically or physically attacked or abused? Certainly not. He still was creating a work with his mind. So he was not happy, but neither was he suffering 100%. But you cannot compare Steve Jobs with the other person who is a common person. They are ordinary person with ordinary kind of mentality. They do not have Stevie Hawks kind of mentality to think differently and accommodate his suffering, and eventually you see he gone because he couldn't take come a time in his life when he see no point in going on, and he wanted to create in another level, so he left his body, the body at which he was imprisoned inside it, Hawks was imprisoned inside that crippled, ugly body of his. And there came a time in his life when he said, enough, I don't want anymore stay in this body, so he just exit. You understand? And then when he died, because he had enough of staying in that body. So who are you to say that that poor man was not suffering, even though he was not showing and still co-creating with his mind, just like me. Also, I try to be something, to express my views, to give advice to those who wants to follow, who wants to, not something that I want to enforce upon other and push my views upon other, but all I want is for people to have a wake up call and be more empathic towards the suffering of others, including nature, including your forest, your rainforest, your animals, and nature overall. You see? See? Suffering is permanent, obscure, and dark, and shares the nature of infinity. It's not easy to be here. So for you who are so accommodated, you are so happy, why don't you go there and help people since you are so happy, right? You that person there, these two person who are, I don't know, maybe as a Muslim, Arabic or Russian, I don't know, and the idiot Arabic who follows me here, why don't you go there and help people? Go there and help people. You are so happy, right? You are so happy and you are criticizing others. Your life is to go zip about others and to hate the place where you stay, but you don't want to move away from that country which you say you hate. Am I right? Yeah, I'm talking to you and you know who you are. So if you cannot have empathy towards all this, then man, you got a problem. You are hybrid. See, you're a hybrid reptilian. It's my opinion, suffer, but it's not the consubstantial nature of life. Yeah, he's right. That's how I think. You see, we are all experiencing pain and suffering, but it's not the quite essential nature of life. This is not the nature of life, because we could do better than that, and we are able to be better than that, you know. Just because the earth turns away from the sun and night occurs doesn't mean that the sun isn't always shining. It might be hard to see sometimes, but goodness and divine beauty can always be found if you adjust your vision just right. Yeah, but not everybody have even sun all the time. For them, their life is just the picture which they see, because that's what they experience. Look at this, look at that, look at this, look at this. That's the, so you cannot speak. People like this, I speak for themselves, because they have a place to stay, they have a roof over their home, they have enough to eat, enough to drink, enough to dress, enough to go and party and have sex, blah blah blah. And I say that sex is good thing. I'm not saying that. Sex for me is for stupid people, because when you are in upper level of consciousness, you start to think better, and you gonna operate in a higher level rather than your lower root chakras. Okay, so these people think like this because they have fun, because they drink, because they live vida loca, la vida loca. They are happy, and then everybody else has to be, but they have to put themselves inside it, place themselves inside the shoe of people who suffer, to think how it is to really be there, to really walk in their shoes, to really walk into their body. You see, and so it is. So that's it. And yes, there is such thing as suffering, alright. It's just that people who owns too much, it's not acknowledge it, but there are such things as group, meaning evil people. I'm not even call you an animal, I will never do, because there are certain people who like to compare human with animal. Arabs are one of those. They like to compare, when they want to abuse somebody, they call the person a humara or an animal. When what they don't know is that the humara and the animals is much better than they are. Okay, much better than you are, because you have been a parrot, and you have been called reptilian and you be psychopath, because you are refusing. You are denying what you are being towards other people. 200 pets killed or maimed every day. Oh no, they are not a victim. They are just the perpetrator. Oh, I must safeguard myself. I'm the violent. I must safeguard myself against my victims. So before you go too deep into rubbish kind of doctrine and doctrined into believe that there's no suffering, open your mind. Hey, look better, man. Okay, look better. Go around, try to put yourself on those shoes, on the body of those beings. Then in this day you will be a better person in this world, and you're gonna create another better world instead of just blame other people like, oh, I'm gonna blame all the people in power, all the people who got money. You are being jealous of them because there's people worse than those people. Only the government is not good, but why you don't look at yourself first? You are being better than the government when you do this to the animals? Are you? Certainly not. So who are you to talk to judge only the people who are in power, people who are rich? Are they doing this to the animals, or are you common people? Think, okay? Because the world has to save themselves, not from Jews who we think are the one that up in the ladder of power, whatever, but from the minions who are below us. They call it the slave driver. Okay, the slave drivers, the servant of the slave masters. Those slave drivers are worse yet than the slave master. Okay, so think, and I do not speak nonsense again because I'm gonna refute it and debunk and demystify all the myths that you have created as to justify your own evil, vile ways to deal and to interact if the Jews you see as lower than you, and the defenseless being, be them children, animals, especially the elderly, the crippled, and even certain women. Okay.